I've been doing this work for months now, one of my clients said, and my wife seems happier, but I'm still not getting what I want, he says, in his marriage. And should I bring this up with my wife? I've been playing with ChatGPT and the Dolly image creation, and I typed man-facing challenge. Now, what's wrong with this picture? This is man-facing challenge, and it's a man facing a labyrinth. But what's wrong with this picture? Yeah, you see? Yeah. There's just a straight there's just a straight shot to the exit. Straight shot. Okay, so AI doesn't think very much of our ability to get through labyrinths apparently, but man-facing challenge. That's what often we talk about here. We bring our stuff to the men, right? And the king that you want to be in the world, the sovereignty you want to feel, your own agency. No matter what's going on with her, you want to be a benevolent king. And how do you have the skills of that man, the depth and the awareness, still the emotional compassion, of course, but you're not swayed by her upset. And it's never about being perfect, right? Being perfect was never the solution. And within your own heart, within your own self, do you believe deep down that you're destined to do great things? And whatever great things mean to you, that can change chapter to chapter, day to day, year to year of your life, whether you're curing cancer or trying to put people on Mars, or you're being the best amazing father that you can be, or you're building that end table and doing woodworking that you've always wanted to do, or you're rehabbing your own house, whatever you feel you're destined to do right now, and that you feel it as big, as powerful, as great within your own heart. That's what this is about, certainly. So my wife seems happier, but I'm still not getting what I want. Should I bring this up? One man wrote to me recently, one of my clients. This is just a piece of one of his emails. He wrote, "So I have accepted that my behavior has hurt her. She's built up a lot of resentment, and fundamentally, this is why she's stuck and unwilling to commit to moving forward with me. Our limbo continues. As you put it, she's hurt. I did ask her this weekend," he said, if she ever has moments where she can see us working out, and she said yes. I know I'm meant to be limiting the talking, talking about relationship, right? Limiting the talking, but I think I ask her questions occasionally to get answers like this that just give me a tiny bit of hope that we're going to make it. Now, of course, if we come from a place of grounded opening, that's great. If we come from a place of Peter Pan scarcity, little boy, I'm trying to get her to give me certainty, that's not good. So in this place of I want hope, well, of course you want hope for your own self and for the relationship, but if you're going to her to make you feel safe, that's not going to lead to good places, right? And that's something that I was talking with this man about. So if you're not getting what you want when you go to her, it's important where you're coming from, the place of either desire or yearning or resentment or openness and wanting to build something with her. It depends on where you're coming from, and we're going to talk about that today too. Here's another man. This is actually an original email to me, an original application piece of that a man wanted to talk with me about. He said, in the next 6 months, what changes do you want most to see in your life and relationship? That's one of my prompt questions. He wrote, I want to become irresistible, a husband. I want to become an irresistible man and husband to my wife in a sense of having my mojo back, be strong and confident to ask and have as much intimacy as I want, and unlearn any bad habits I might have, including being needy. And another prompt, what do you see as your barriers to getting what you want? He wrote, I'm missing the right guidance to how to achieve my goals. There are millions of programs, YouTube videos, books, but I'm struggling to navigate through them. I want full end-to-end program with clear path forward, checkpoints, accountability. And that's a piece of what we're doing here on this call, right? How do we check in? What questions do you have? Where are you? And I want to get together with you guys here in a second. So I believe and I teach that loving and being loved is an art, and we all want to feel connected, of course, right? And it's easier to line up for the comforting lies that we face every day, either being soothed by, we were talking about television earlier on, or the headlines, or if we just get into an echo chamber. That's not what we want. What we want here is to hear the unpleasant truths. We want to know what's underneath the surface. We want to pull back the curtain, and that's what we do here on these calls. Well, I'll put a couple things on the table, and I don't know if you're taking notes or I'm going to share something on the screen here in a second. You could take a screenshot of too, and I think this would be good for a bunch of guys. And if you have other questions, you can let me know, or if guys have questions, or if you're watching this recording, post comments below, ask questions. I call it turning your shoulders towards your own self. And I absolutely love that you're finding value in yourself. You can laugh at these things, but you're not losing yourself. You have your own support system of guys and close friends, and you're wanting to build your own life up, right? You want to build your own value, but you're doing that for your own self. And you have a spiritual depth, a worth, regardless of her. Kind of let the chips fall where they may after that with her. That's a piece of this. So here's the screen I want to share with you. This is the Stoic triangle, and there's three sides of it. So guys, whether you're watching this and you take a screenshot or you jot some of this down, there's the first side, virtue, what I was just referring to there. What are my values? What are my boundaries? What do I want? Considering other people, of course, but this is about you. What do I want? I want to be a man of integrity. I want to be a man that stands up for what he believes in, no matter what. What are the hills I'm willing to die on? Right? What are my own boundaries? And that would be something that you and I would talk about more ongoing if we were to talk more is what are your boundaries with her, for instance? The second side is what can I control? And you seem to be really aware of that. I can't control her. I can only control myself. And how do I want to be the best father and man in the world? What can I control? And then what are my responsibilities and where do I need to take action? And that's the warrior part of you, the part of you that wants to and needs to take certain actions in the world or to not act, not dump things on her. These three sides of the Stoic triangle seem to be something that you've been kind of innately working on. Yeah. And if we had more time to talk, I would ask you about that. Now, per your question, what's going on with her? So we all come with generational wounds. You were saying her childhood and all this. We all have shadow parts of ourselves that were shamed when we were younger or told we're bad or wrong. And those often, as I say, go down to the basement and lift weights. And they come out like the Hulk later on and bust up our life in different ways that we never would have wanted. And a part of, I don't know your wife, obviously, but a part of what happens is this guilt of being a bad person often start a piece of us being bad often started a long time ago. And maybe your such and such happened with your wife and she did some things she wasn't proud of, certainly, and then it starts to kind of spiral. Well, it feels good to do things that are taboo, by the way, right? We get a dopamine hit, and so that's a whole thing. And do we have an addictive kind of personality? And that's a whole thing, right? And all of a sudden now she has these bad parts of her that are speaking more loudly, the devil on her shoulders louder, and it's this kind of spiral. So she puts a wall up. This is off, I don't know her obviously, but this is pretty general to all humans. We put a wall up to try to protect ourselves from those devil voices, from the bad parts of us, the shadow parts of us that were shamed or we did something that we're not proud of, or we did something that we feel really guilty about. So we put walls up around our emotions. We compartmentalize these things, and they can just start to rot like a rotten apple at the middle of a fucking bushel of apples, and it starts to spread. And that spread looks like stonewalling, shut down, projection, being angry at something that was really about her own self, right? When she's all up, when she's upset, she puts it on you. That happens a lot. And so we have this soup of ingredients. We're juggling these shadows, the angel and the devil on our shoulders all the time as humans. And then how do we bring that to our family? How do we bring that to being good parents? And we still have all these rocks on our backpack that were handed down to us from our parents and such and from their parents. So it's all these pieces. All that to say, she has her shadows and you have the man you want to be. And what can you control? You can control growing into the man you want to be and not necessarily being pulled or fall into her shadows. And so this limbo space here is often a paradox of what I just described. Being the man you want to be, inviting her forward, but not falling into her shadows. And that's what I see you. You're aware of that. You'd use different words probably, but that seems to be where you are with her, right? So you have compassion for her, I can tell. And the conversation you and I could have for another time is, okay, what do I stand up for? What am I not okay with that she's doing potentially? And how do I invite her? And what does that look like over time, right? You're growing your own self. You're doing what you need to do. You have compassion for her. That's great. And then it's going to be the skills, the boots on the ground skills of, well, how and when do I invite her, or what do I say no to as far as boundaries go? Those seem so. If I were you, I'd write those two things in your journal, right? Uh, how do I invite her, and how often? Like what's appropriate? And then another entry is what am I not okay with? What are my boundaries, and do I speak up for those or not? Like those are the that's what I would ask. And you could bring that to the forum, or you could email me that kind of thing if you want to. And by the way, guys, I'm always happy to answer other questions or, if you want to raise your hand in Zoom or post in chat or email me.
I live in Germany. I've been together with my now ex for 11 years, and the relationship has ended in September. So and I started doing the work in November. So I've already come a good path of my journey to become a great man. And I'm more thinking about what happened or what went wrong in the relationship. And I came to the conclusion, yes, I made a ton of mistakes, probably like every man has done. But what I put it down to is like for the first 5 years, she was like always happy. And the last 5 years, she was like you just described with the walls up. And it didn't matter what I was doing, what I was trying. It didn't matter the circumstances. It didn't matter the job. It didn't matter the children. It didn't matter the weather. It didn't matter what anyone else was doing. She was like always in a bad mood. And she was, I think, a little bit depressed. And then last year, she got actually 1 year before our breakup, she got attracted to another guy. And then she came back to life again. And
Ah,
that's when I started to fight for the relationship again. But ultimately, I don't know, she was fighting, I was fighting, and then she quit, and then she moved on to the other guy. And I know this guy because he used to work for me, which is embarrassing. So I usually don't tell it
right,
anyone, but
right,
here I can tell it. So because I know him and because he's also good friends with my children, and we're still living together, and he is hanging around the place, which is weird. But until I know where I want to go, I decided to stay because there's no way in going somewhere just to leave. And yeah, he made her happy, but not with doing anything. He was just there, and she was attracted to him. And I think that was also the start of the relationship with my ex. It was the same story for me. She was attracted to me, and then she was happy. And before, she was unhappy for a few years. So I think it wasn't my fault that she was happy, and it wasn't my fault that she was unhappy.
right,
And I guess it's also not the fault of the new guy that she's happy now. And I guess in a few years she will be unhappy again. It's just a guess, but probable. So my question is, I learned in the book The Inside Outside Revolution, Michael Neal, do you know it?
yes,
That the happiness is inside of you
right,
and the outside circumstances can't make you happy. So how can a man then make the wife happy? Essentially, he can't make a wife happy.
right. That's a
Can
good
he?
question. That's a good question. So let's open this up. Thank you, Christian. And so I also appreciate your smile even in the face of this incredibly painful stuff. Yeah, and so the vibe I'm getting from you is you're still in the middle of, let's say, unloading the feeling, the heaviness that it has
Yes,
upon you. Is that true?
I'm still crying a little bit daily for, just 10 seconds, stuff like that.
Right.
But I think it's also because I haven't been crying for the last 20 years prior. So I guess there was a lot of stuff in me which needs to come out.
Yeah, it excavates the dungeon of our soul to face these pains. I've been there, where it feels like your legs are taken out from underneath you and you're lying with your face against the cement on the ground, bleeding and crying and fucked up in your mind and this is so absolutely. Okay. Where does happiness come from? Well, we have a spiritual side of us, whatever that means to you, whether you put a name to that, whether you say that's the universe flowing through you, whether you say it's your soul, or whether you feel you're fully in charge of your own self. But it's your ideas, your ability to generate something, right? We have an idea and we can make it happen. That's unique to us humans in this dimension, let's say, in this life, in this time, is we can think into the future, we can be creative, and we can make something we can manifest. So that's a spiritual idea. It comes from within you. Wherever you apply the origination of that power, let's say. Each person picks different words for that. So that comes from within us, whether it's our own joy or emotions or thoughts or creativity with our hands building something. Yeah, and then there's what happens outside of us and affects us from the outside. Is it cold outside? Is it warm outside? Is someone trying to punch me in the face right now? Do I need to pay taxes? You know, like, is someone upset with me? Am I crossing the street? I need to watch out for cars. There's things outside of us that affect us as well, right? Which are very real. If I put my hand on the hot stove, it's going to burn me and it causes me pain. That's from outside of me. I didn't just manifest that from my spirit. That's from outside of me. So there's both of these things. And I call that ego. That's the way I talk about it. Spirit and ego. Spirit coming from within, where we're not concerned about what other people think. And ego is mostly what can I get from outside of me? What do other people think from the outside of me? What I want to make sure I look good for this person or say the right thing, right? Which we need to do. That's not bad. We need to pay our bills. We don't want to be a monk living up in the mountains. We want to go to work and we have to respect our boss, otherwise we're going to get fired. There's real things there. So both of those things are true. And well, I'll show you this. This is a dynamic that I teach, and I'll just do this real fast with you, Christian, here. So there's a level one relationship, which is instinctual. It's the limbic brain. So as you're describing this woman, your ex, she has been pulled and pushed by her primal instincts. She hasn't been responsible for herself in a mature way. She's just gone with the flow. She's just, been with this other man because it feels good and goes here, goes there, and she hasn't been from what you've described, I don't know her, but she hasn't been mature. She's been driven by her instinctual limbic brain. That's level one, which is a thing. It's important. Do we feel chemistry with our partner, right? Are we attracted to our partner? This kind of thing. Then there's level two of verbal talking. This is what is done in therapy. Do I say what I want? Does she say what she wants? Do we communicate? Do we say words to one another? Do we set our expectations with words? That's level two. And then there's level three, which is beyond self. This is higher conscious awareness. This is building something for the relationship, the space in between. It's beyond just self. This is what I call deep conscious intimacy. And that's mature. That's what we all think of as mature fairy tale intimacy is we're on each other's team, we communicate, we build intimacy together, we feel love together. That's a level three relationship, the way I talk about it. But all three of those are important. So if anyone is with a woman, or Christian, if you were or are with a woman that only cares about level one, because that's what she learned growing up, or that's the example that she's seen, or it's never been incumbent upon her to grow a mature adult relationship. If she's just level one limbic brain instinctually driven, then she's going to sway all over the place. She's going to be pulled by her feelings in the moment and addictions and food and love and drama and all that. And if she's never had to pour herself into a more mature container. If she's never been around a father who had higher, more mature, responsible expectations for her to teach her, or anyone, but a woman we're talking about, right? Or an adult man who, like me, like most of us, had no idea how to mold a mature adult relationship. I don't know, you date, you have fun, you get married, you have kids, you have a job, you pay bills, and then you fucking drink beers on the weekend. I don't know. You go camping, you buy the next toy, you buy the boat or whatever, you have the house. But none of that is mature level three relationship. That's all level one and level two. That's instinctual. And that's, hey, let's buy a boat. Hey, let's go camping. That's cool. But this is all level one, level two. So what I teach and what every man wants to learn that comes to me and what I had to learn over a long period of time and what is not obvious at all is level three relationship. How to have expectations for a woman. And that's a whole conversation, basically slowly over time. And you have to know how to lead in that way. You have to know how to be the benevolent king, as I say, and the skillful lover, as I say, not James Bond, who, by the way, is a fucking bachelor and he can just, he fucks them and leaves them. That's not what we're talking. We're talking about relationship, marriage, long-term togetherness, building a family over decades and generations. And that takes this level three knowledge. So that's a long that's a long description of what you're asking of, well, how come she wants to fuck me now but doesn't want to fuck me tomorrow? It's because she's not acting from a mature, responsible place. Acting from her instinctual feminine desires, which is ephemeral. It changes every moment. And if there's no boundaries, as I was saying to JB, if there's no boundaries around the relationship, if she doesn't feel like she's going to have consequence for her actions, then she's just going to do whatever her feelings, her feminine feelings in the moment push her towards, right? And so then there is consequence. And that then men will say, well, how can I ever be with a woman? Why would I ever be with a woman? That's a bit of a different thing. But so how does that all come across to you, Christian? That this idea that there's limbic brain desires, there's frontal lobe verbal communication level two, and then there's beyond self, spirit, deep intimacy. How does that come across to you? What are you hearing there?
I guess our relationship was stuck the whole time on level one. And she's not a good communicator, or she's not a communicator at all. So we never got to level two. And I hear that you're saying it could have been possible if I had the knowledge to bring her to level three to have a mature relationship. And would it have solved the happiness problem? Because I think she's a person who is internally like always unhappy, except when she's attracted to a new man. Because her mother works in the same company, so I know her, and she's always in a bad mood. But her mother stayed with her husband for her whole life, and my ex explicitly said she didn't want to end up with her mother. She didn't want to end up like her mother, and she didn't. The decision wasn't easy for her. I think she was thinking about the decision for 3 or 4 years. I just didn't notice it.
Right. Yeah, so could she ever have been happy with you? I don't know how, I can't answer that, but we're we're all together with a person, I think, for a reason, for either science calls it family systems theory. Why are we with the people that we're with? What are our childhood attachments and such? Some people call it karma, right? What am I meant to learn? Or some would call it, let's say, fate, an unfolding of being faced with the challenge and the crucibles that we're meant to face in this life. And no matter
Mhm.
how we describe it, it's what am I here to learn? And that's what every man is here. That's why you're here. It's what can I learn from this sadness, this devastation, this challenge? I want to learn through this. I want to grow through this, not just to say, F her, I'll just go find the next chick to bang. Right? Like that yeah, that's fun and you can do that, but that's not going to help any of us grow and learn. So you want to learn and all that, meaning if you knew these skills 10 years ago, would your relationship have unfolded in a different way? Maybe, yes. Possibly not. She may not have wanted to follow you. She maybe just wanted to have fun. And then she
Yeah.
stayed, and that, right? And then she stayed with you. So if she's just a, I just want to have fun kind of girl, then that's not a girl for marriage. That's not a girl for a relationship. But if that was just a youthful phase that with skill and knowledge and awareness that the two of you or you could have helped lead her through into more like I call it level three mature relationship practices and conversations and activities and future vision together and you didn't even get to level two. So level two is also talking about the shadow parts of ourself. I was saying earlier, like, ooh, I have this part of me that feels really guilty, or I have a part of me that wants to be sexual in a certain way, and it was shamed when I was younger, but I don't want to hide that with you. I want to bring that to the table. Or I'm so angry with you because you disappointed me in such and such way, and you both bring that out and you bring it to the table and you handle it in a cool way. You don't get defensive or right? So all of those things we have to learn. I had to learn all those things. Everything I just said, I had to go through and learn. Unless you have amazing parents that model and actively teach you all these things, I don't think any of us really know this. None of us know this automatically. We all have to practice these things. So could it have turned
So
out any differently? I don't know. But a part of the crucible of this life is we can't go backwards or forwards in time, right? So
it's
we
true.
want to learn as best we can. So with that said, your day to day, you're grieving right now. You said that a little bit each day you might cry, or you're still, are you still living with her because of the house situation? Is that right?
Yes, we're still living together, but we have two apartments in a apartment building, so we have different apartments. But we're living together with the because of the children still. But the new guy, he's from England, so from another country. He's leaving in 2 weeks, so I don't have to know that they are fucking upstairs. So it will make life easier for me in 2 weeks,
Right.
and he'll be gone for 4 months. And but it doesn't matter. Uh, I'm I'm grieving, I think, like 2% of the time, and then I'm learning 98% of the time, so that's okay. But I still have the question about can you help someone to find, can you help another person or your wife to find the spiritual happiness, not the ego part, the spiritual happiness?
That's a
Can
really
you
good
help a wife?
question. When when a woman wants to please you, when she's attracted to you and she respects you, she'll be open to following your modeling. She'll be
Okay.
open to your ideas. She'll be open to doing things that you like to do. But when a woman is not pouring herself into you, if she doesn't respect you or if she's not attracted to you right now, she won't be interested in what you have to say. She won't be interested in following you.
Ah, okay.
And
So would have not been possible in the last few years, I guess.
that's right.
Yeah.
Unless she were part of the work that I do with men is to try to catch this as soon as possible so that you have a better chance of, let's say, being more attractive within your physical self, your emotional self, your skills, and that she desires you, at least in small ways, she desires again or she's curious again. She'll turn away and have this big smile on her face. She's trying to hide the fact that she really enjoyed that interaction with him. Those are the small building blocks of the new foundation. But if a woman is, to be blunt, right? If she's fucking another man, no, there's no, that relationship is done. The old relationship is done. She's not open to you, right? Like that's the epitome of in that moment, she's not interested in you. Most
Yeah, I know.
women, the vast majority of women will only pour themselves into one man at a time. There's
Yeah.
there's exceptions to that, but right? So if she's actively with another man right now, that means she's absolutely not interested in what you have to say. She has to desire being with you. She has to respect you and be attracted to you. Now, there's bigger conversations of would you want that? I'm sure JB's faced this. A lot of men here have faced this. I faced this question. Would I want to be with that woman thereafter?
No. No.
I mean, that's so
I
that
just was asking not for now, but for I don't know, 1 or 2 years ago.
right. Do you have kids together? Did you say that?
Yeah, yes, two kids, and I think the children are actually the purpose of our relationship, or have been. That's why we came together to make the
Right.
children and raise them. That was our faith, and I guess we have done our job, and now everyone moves on.
Yeah, and I I appreciate you attempting to, bring humor, and it's also, of course, very sad and very painful. And um, I'll ask if you have another question here in a second, Christian. But when a woman has been sexually with another man, there needs to be a phase where she has the freedom to do whatever she wants because she's already doing whatever she wants. So, we're not going to bring her back from her going and being with another man. It's like a fish hook. With a fish hook, you want to cut the line and go through. You can't pull back. It's there's no going back to the old once she's been with another man. There's only going forward. And what that often means is she and you, usually, the woman and the man, have a chapter of life, however short or long that is, where they have the freedom to do whatever they want. That's the only way to come back, potentially come back together in a healthy way where they both choose one another. They both choose to build a level 3 relationship. They both choose to have growth and new skills together. For instance, it's a new container. There is no going back, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yes, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. So for you, Christian, on a day-to-day basis, for you, I think, and you tell me, it's about finding joy in your life regardless of her. It's getting together with friends and new hobbies and building you making money if that's what it's about you for at least the next 3 to 6 months, probably. And that's why you're here, I think. Is that what you're focusing on?
Yes, I'm focusing on my mojo and on my building my future. I don't worry. I wouldn't worry that much about her if I wouldn't see her every day. But I'm still trying to understand what happened in the past, so I be a better man in the future. That's that's the only reason I'm still thinking about it. I probably wouldn't choose her again in the future, to be honest.
That makes sense.
I
Yeah,
guess
a lot of men
I
feel
can
that.
find a better woman.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm, and not everyone is meant for relationship, right? Man or woman, not everyone wants to be in a relationship. It's not socially acceptable, really. I guess it depends. Some people are happy to say that, but a lot of family wants us to be in relationship, right? There's a lot of social pressure to be in relationship and to even get married. There's a lot of social pressure. And so not everyone is, that's not appropriate for everybody. And so maybe this woman, it wasn't appropriate for, maybe.
because you have to move forward. And here in Germany, in the Netherlands, because I live in the Netherlands now and I work with a lot of people from Germany, it's a tough culture, to be honest. Not only for women, probably, but also for guys. And this is not like the US where you're brought up with vision. Here it's really about solving problems, but I think I don't think from the years that I've been like on the internet, you could say that you can find guys like Jeff or Steve Horseman or Garrett and so forth. The problem is that you're in Western Europe, so it's very, very rare to find guys like that. Usually you have a culture where it's a bit more inbred. Um, and yeah, I just hope you show up and try to find yourself some men, which is quite uh, difficult, to be honest, in Germany. Like, not sure if Jeff knows this, but in Germany and the Netherlands not, but it's Belgium and Germany, it's quite hard to connect with new people. Like, uh, if you want to get into the social circle, like you could say the round table and so forth, if you meet a new guy, it might take you maybe 5 years to really be invited to everything. It's harder. So Christian, if you have to have the patience with it, and it's not you, and uh, yeah, you can. You're completely right that you cannot change another human being, and you cannot make her happy. Just focus on making yourself happy, having the life that you want and desire. And I think the most important thing is learning from guys who have been there already. Uh, and yeah, I don't have much to say. I think if you continue doing the work, you'll end up fine. But you're definitely not alone in this.
If you're liking this, hit thumbs up if you're watching this recording, right? And here's links to our stuff. If you want to get a hold of our coaches, if you want to get a hold of me directly, the links are on the screen. If you want to be a part of my free calls, I have almost weekly free calls. There's the greatmenmovemountains.com/new subscriber, and you'll get notices of the free calls. I've got my free Facebook group, which is there as well. And then I've got a new digital product that just came out, Turn Your Marriage Around. It's called the Kingly Life Path, and you go to this website here, right? Greatmenmovemountains.com is my website /Kingly Life Path course, or you can email me with questions. right, guys? So there's a framework that I teach, and there's behind the scenes of exactly what you can be taught here. These are pictures of the behind the scenes, and you're going to go here and check that out. All right, Dr. Feelgood, Mr. Feelgood, you said this is interesting, and you also asked this chronic question, how long do I wait? So how has this conversation been interesting to you so far?
I mean, the thing I found interesting, I mean, it's sort of often the most obvious things are the things you don't think about. And you said, when a woman wants to please you, she'll be open to following your modeling, but otherwise, she's not. And I think a lot of us are in this kind of catch 22, right? Where, I mean, different each of us has his own catch 22. But, you know, and my situation is obviously different from these folks. But people are getting along well with this woman. Maybe they live together, or maybe not. Like JB doesn't live with his wife, but they go to church together. And he would like to rekindle something, but she's not open. I mean, it's a catch 22. Because on the one hand, you can just work on yourself, and then keep your fingers crossed that she notices. Or not only just that she notices, but she notices enough to be drawn back to you. And the other thing is to try, as you say, to lead, but she's got to be open to being to that. And so, it's a kind of a catch. I just feel like a lot of us are in a catch 22, and I don't know what to say about that. I have nothing in
Sure.
mind.
Well, and you and I have talked before, of course, and so I'll say, yeah, Christian, are you trying to raise your hand, Christian? Is that what you're doing? Yeah. Do you want to say something real quick, and then I'll go ahead.
Yeah, I want to tell, what was the name? Dr. Feelgood?
Yeah.
I want to say it's not a catch-22 because in my experience, if you work on yourself, you realize you're not doing the work to get your ex back,
Of
but
course.
to become a better man. And then you suddenly see a lot more possibilities. And then you think, okay, I can take my ex back, but I can also live a different life with this person A or B or C.
I
So
take your point.
it doesn't, at the end, when you start working, you improve. Once you improved, you don't really need to get your ex back anymore. You can take it, but you can also use one of the other options you get because you have improved.
That is
That's
so,
just my personal
that,
experience.
sure. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you, Christian. I appreciate it. Yeah, and I'll add, and I've said this to you or around you, Dr. Feelgood, before, but I want to ask you this question. So the you said cross your fingers. And of course, I know what you mean, and it feels like that when we still are hooked to this desire, which we all are, that she'll turn around and want to be the perfect image of the Disney story that we would dream that things would be, of course. So we have that cross fingers feeling. Okay, so there's that. Yes, I agree. And then there's the skills of invitation along the way. Instead of it being binary, 0 or 1, or black or white, there's when you buy her a teddy bear and she turns and she smiles, that doesn't mean everything's okay. That doesn't mean everything is forgiven, but it's the sprout that's bursting through the cement crack that starts to grow. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's you put that nicely, the skills of invitation. And that's where I personally feel I need to I I don't have those skills. I mean I've developed a lot of skills. Um like, I'm so much calmer. I'm so much less reactive. I don't really react at all. I'm responsive. I listen. And there's a lot going. I don't scoff as I might once have at things that she did or said that I found silly. So a lot of the negative stuff is gone. So we're at a point of being very good co-parents and housemates, really very good. But I don't want to live the rest of my life like that. Um, so the security is there. She feels safe. She tells me about her day. Like there's a lot of good things going on, but it's like brother and sister, really good brother and sister. Anyway, I know I'm not alone. I know like there's lots of men in your community who are in this situation.
Sure, yeah, that makes sense, absolutely. And let's talk about that here. So I like to look up some research too, and then I'll give you my take on this question that we're our topic of today. Do I talk with her about this? Well, psychology today, a little AI response is, are you expressing your needs clearly? Choosing the right time and place, focus on solutions and not blaming her, be willing to listen, consider therapy. You should absolutely bring it up with your partner. Okay, yeah, anyone that's done a Google search, which is what I literally did here, could see that. Okay, yeah, that's great, Jeff, but well, where do I go from there? Here's an article from Psychology Today. What you need in your marriage isn't the problem. It's how you try to get those needs met that causes problems. And there's a point I want to make real fast. Here's some bullets. It says everyone has needs, but not everyone knows what their needs are or how to ask for what they need. So this is being aware of your level one, two, and three desires and needs. And level one, two, and three are all different, and how to ask for them, which again is different depending on the level of awareness and openness and maturity that you're at and she's at. The second point, couples who don't get their needs met often experience negative interactions with one another. This is another way to say if you're upset, you shouldn't probably spend a lot of time interacting with your partner. Because if you communicate from a place of being upset, it's only going to cause more upset, which is something that therapists don't often talk about. And the third point, negative beliefs and behaviors can, in most cases, be turned to positive. So this is the point I want to make here is that beliefs and behaviors, these are the two big pieces down in the bottom paragraph, two levels. Beliefs, extricating the false narratives and seeing the other as on the same team. Okay, so is there an underlying belief that we're on the same team? Or is there an underlying belief that we're competing against one another, that it's a zero-sum game? So what's the underlying belief within your own self and with between the two of you in the relationship? So that's the belief part. And then the behaviors, how we treat each other and speak to the other. And that has to do with being able to model the kind of behavior you want, having skill within that, as Dr. Feelgood and we've all been talking about, when to have boundaries and what to stand up for, what kind of behavior is not okay, and how you then respond to that behavior. So it's beliefs and behaviors. What do I believe? What does she believe underneath the surface? And how are we treating one another? Like, am I upset and then taking that to her and blaming her? Well, do I believe that it's her fault? Do I believe that I'm a victim of the situation? These are the dynamics that are happening here. It's really not whether you need sex or whether you need her validation. The ingredients underneath that are beliefs and the how we behave, how we try to go about getting those perceived needs met. And this is something that it's not obvious, guys, right? That's why we're talking about this. These are things that we excavate in coaching, we excavate on these calls. Okay, so here's my take. She seems happier, but I'm still not getting what I want. Do I bring this up? Well, we have to have clarity, perspective, and how do we approach this? And this won't answer the question fully, but this is the next step. So if you're watching this, maybe you're pausing and taking notes, or if you're here, you'll have a question or you'll email me about it, right? Jeff@greatmenmovemountains.com if you want to email me. So clarity. Do we know what we feel is missing? Is it emotional connection, intimacy, shared goals? Do we have clarity on the underlying belief, the underlying story that we're telling ourselves about us as a man? Is it our fault? Is it not our fault? Did she do that? Am I a victim of the situation? Am I seeing this as a challenge in my life? And clarity on my behavior, how I have this skill to talk with her, how I have the skills to invite her, which are things, of course, that we're talking about today and I teach men. Perspective. What's contributed to this? For you, for her, childhood stuff, misconceptions from the past, lack of level two verbal ability, assumptions, blaming one another. What's contributed to this? So you need to flush this out for yourself. And then approach. Often we get angry, we complain, we shame her, we are disgusted, our body language is terrible, scrunching my face and looking like the other person's an alien because I'm so upset and feel disrespected and I'm just putting that all upon her, right? Does she come and blame you and say that does she rewrite the past and all of these things? So your approach to each other is probably not great. So clarity, perspective, and approach. Those are the three things that I would have you, if you're watching this, write down those three and flush those three out. Where is my edge? What do I need to do next in one of these areas? Where am I not aware? How do I need to grow my skill? Okay, so you can break it down to something small so you know what to work on. And if you don't know what to work on, then you can, come on these calls, the free calls, you can write to me, all that fun stuff. All right, so here's one quick example of level two. You might say, I've noticed you've seemed happier lately. I love seeing that. I also want to make sure we're both feeling fulfilled in our marriage. Can we talk about what's important to both of us and how we can support each other even more? Now, the only chance you have of saying something like this is if things are above water. If the relationship is drowning and she's not respecting you right now, and if she has no interest in the relationship, there's no way in hell she's going to be interested in talking about what's important to both of us and how we can support each other even more. But if she is attracted to you, if she is starting to respect you again, then saying something like, Hey, I've noticed you seem happier lately. I love seeing that, and then being quiet, just saying that one thing. I've noticed you seem happy. I love seeing that. Okay. You say one of those things at a time. That's how you start to build momentum again if you're past the tipping point. But if the relationship is underwater, she's not going to be interested in this. So these are the differentiations that I help clients make. Yeah, Dr. Feelgood, please.
So here we are in a situation where she respects me, but she's not attracted to me, right? I mean, the two often go hand in hand, but she clearly respects me as a friend, and I'm trying to think of this kind of approach would be, so the relationship's underwater in the sense that we are not in relationship. We are not in a romantic relationship. There's no, but I wouldn't say she doesn't respect me. So I'm trying to figure out like there's a kind of often you say if she's respected to you, if she's attracted to you, but those don't always go hand in hand. And so when it's one without the other, you still, I don't know. I don't know if this would be any,
Right. So respect is a prerequisite for attraction, but respecting doesn't mean she's attracted necessarily. Okay, so here's what I would ask you, and I've only known a couple stories about your wife. I don't know her, obviously. Okay. So I'd imagine the two of you are sitting having coffee or tea or a glass of wine or whatever it may be. And I'm wondering if a slightly charged conversation may happen. Like one of my clients he's now watching Sex in the City with his wife, which, man, okay, good for him. But he's and so obviously, Sex in the City is ch intimately sexually charged conversation and topics. Okay. So you nodded, I think. I imagine that those kind of conversations, whether it's Sex in the City or just otherwise, could happen between the two of you. Does that happen? Do you have,
not about intimate matters, but like, I'll give you an example though.
yeah.
The other night we were having dinner and I was chuckling about something my daughter had said. And my partner, I don't know what to call her, she was thought she thought I was making fun of her about something completely different. Okay. Making fun of you, like the details don't matter. And I said, no, 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 no. It's nothing to do with it. I was laughing about something, that her daughter had said. And she was like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm just so conditioned. And it's true. Before the divorce bomb, I would sometimes scoff at some of her concerns, her anxieties, and her worries. I no longer do. And I said, well, I'm really sorry about that because I hope I don't do that anymore. And she said, no, you don't. But it was years of conditioning. It'll take me years to get over it. And I don't know if that's the kind of conversation you're talking about. It was kind of, I mean, I'm happy with the way I handled it. Um, and I feel some shame and responsibility for how I used to be. I would scoff at her, if but so that's not a conversation about intimate matters, sexual matters. It's just like it was kind of an intense conversation. Anyway, sorry, I'm just
No,
gonna
that's
give it.
that's fair. So that's not what I was referring to, but to your point, that's a wound from the past that she and you and the two of you are healing. And yes, it's going to take time. It's going to take practice and habit for her to be desensitized to that. That makes sense. You might imagine that there's a staircase of intensity in a positive way of conversation. So imagine you're sitting on the porch and you're watching the sunset. Okay. It's very platonic. There's no sexual charge, but it's a slightly emotional situation, I would hope. It's beautiful. You might say, wow, you feel beauty in your heart, and like, wow, look at the colors, and this is so amazing. And this is really cool to experience with you, you might say. Now, as soon as you say experience with you, it becomes an even more intense verbal statement, okay? But that's different than if you're just sitting at the dining room table and there's nothing different going on. If you're out on the front porch and you're watching a sunset, it raises the level of intensity of the situation. That's fair to say, I'm assuming, right? Okay. And then you say with you, now it's another level of intensity, okay? But if I were to say, say we're outside watching the sunset, and you're friends, you apparently you have great conversation, yeah. And I'm just gonna make this up, okay, Mr. Feelgood. I'm gonna make this up, and you say, "Man, I was at the gym today, and I don't know if it's me, but there are a lot of girls wearing skin tight stuff. I can see like it's like showing off whatever words you would use. It's like showing off every inch of their body. It's kind of intense." With a smile on your face. Okay. Now what I've done is I've brought another different level of intensity of conversation that's somewhat sexual, obviously insinuation, and I don't know how she's going to react, but I'm bringing up a conversation that has another level of adult beyond brother sister, where I've chosen something that's right, or uh, even more direct is, and then I thought about you wearing some skin tight pants like that woman did, but I don't think that's your style. Okay. Now you just shook your head right there. So what's happening here, you see, but you see the point of what I'm doing. I'm having verbal exchange that starts to stair step up the intensity of emotion. The sunset is of emotional depth within yourself. It's kind of hard to argue that a sunset's beautiful, so it brings a situation to the forefront. And then if I start to have different levels of conversation with her, and you shaking your head, so why shake your head? She would just what, cut your penis off if you said that, or what?
It just it she's it wouldn't work. It wouldn't have any positive effect. And it would just she'd be like, what? You know, it would backfire.
Well,
Given up.
well, first of all, what do you think work means? It would work. What do you think I'm trying to do?
Establish more closeness. I don't think it would establish more close. That sunset thing might establish kind of like intensify closeness or establish closeness or connect us. But I actually think the other thing would disconnect us at this point in our relationship.
Well,
It
I'll
would
say first of all, this is art. There's no like perfect thing to say, okay? But
of
I don't know that you two need more closeness. I think what where I'm dancing is of uh in direct type of attraction, direct type of play, verbal, obviously. I'm not saying anything physical, verbal play, okay? Then backfire has a whole different connotation because that's a whole other discussion. So, how dare you say that? That's disgusting, you pig. I mean, okay, then you've gone too far and I've miscalibrated, and I wouldn't say that. But my point is, you can't, again, you and I have talked before and we'll talk again, which is totally fine. But what I'm doing, as you might see, is there is edge. Every man including myself, every person, but every man that I work with, including myself, there you have an edge. You have an edge with making money, with being a parent, with how you deal with your neighbors, with your physical health, with everything. We all have an edge. And we're talking right now about your edge with your co-parent spouse who's in limbo and there's no spark, but there's a lot of closeness. There's a lot of building trust and healing things in the past. That's cool. And so what I would play with next, this is what I'm literally, teaching you right now, is things that have slightly different types of emotional charge, verbal, that you stair step up in conversation, so to speak. Not all at one time, but you sprinkle it in. And if you go across the line, which you will, because I'm literally taking you to the edge, so you will absolutely cross a line, and that's okay. If you're afraid to ever cross a line, then you will not be successful because it shows fear of her. And if you fear a woman, she can't respect you and such, and that's a whole other thing. But you will cross a line. Now, if you say, come over here and put your pussy on my face, okay? You probably crossed that's too much. But if you're like, I I could imagine you in one of those skin tight leotards. I hope that she doesn't John Bob at you in the middle of the night. Then you went too far. But if she's like, how dare you? You've instilled some kind of emotional expression in this woman. You've had the balls to say something that was a little bit, taboo. And we would play with that. Like right? Yeah, okay. So you're nodding. That's
I
I'm
get
trying to
it.
make a point. Yeah.
No, I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. It's delicate, obviously. There's, but I get it. Yes. Thank you. I'm taking this in.
Yeah, and we know each other, you and I, and you'll ask questions more, and you could play with some of this, and that's calibrated to what you think, and then talk to me in the future and let me know how it goes. Yeah.
But the important thing is to do it yourself, for yourself, because I would say beginning last year, I did it to perform, have a lot of jokes, a lot of entertainment, to practice and see how she reacted. But then it was boring, and I said, I'm just doing it for myself. And then after that, I just don't care how she reacts, or he reacts in the elevator, in the room. I just do it for myself, and if they don't laugh and so forth, usually I just say the guy is just boring. Like, and then I just move on, or different joke, different conversation with the same person. Yeah.
Yeah, doing it for your own self and not as a performance, that's a great point. It's really easy to be too heavy-handed with sexual innuendo, so just go 5% of what you might imagine, and then there's also more about making it about her in a subtle way. So it's not to be crass, it's not to be in her face. It's more of so again, imagine you're seeing a sunset. So the trust that you're building is important. So you're in front of a sunset, you're beginning to trust one another more, you're more relaxed with one another. The sunset is bringing emotion, joy, love into your being, right? And then it might be add something like, I can imagine your head resting on my shoulder as we watch the sunset. Now, that's definitely a level of request, of intimacy, right? It's not overtly sexual, and she might just ignore you, of course. She will likely not do this physical act, but this is what I'm talking about. It's building on layers of emotion, that feeling good together, feeling good in your environment, saying something that's subtle, that's one step toward the edge of where the two of you are, and see how that goes and see how you handle it, and then talk with me about it in the future. Yeah. Good stuff. All right, let's start wrapping it up for today, guys. Again, click subscribe and click like if you're watching this later on. Here's the links that I showed earlier if you want to pause the video and go back to these links. Otherwise, I put them in the chat for the guys here if you want to email me, Jeff@greatmenmovemountains.com if you have any questions, anything. All right, live tribe call. This was posted in the forum, and this will wrap us up for today. A man posted this within the last 24 hours. This says, I came across a quote that said, you can seem like a millionaire to one person and a homeless person to the next. The ants think you're a giant, and the trees don't even notice you. You think you have a boring life, but the next person might be striving for your lifestyle. Comparison is the thief of joy, so stay kind and keep loving life. Life is all just a big game of perspective. Email me with questions. Love you guys being here. See you guys next time. Ciao, guys.